Hi everyone, so we're painting Ron Weasley today. I'm actually really excited about this one because we're doing him when he's in his Quidditch gear, and I haven't seen anyone do that before, so I'm quite excited to see how it's going to turn out. You can sort of see that actually my psoriasis is still pretty bad. It's getting more on my face and on my shoulders, and it's actually really bad on my back. But I've ran out of steroid cream, so I don't know if you've seen those videos on TikTok which are like TSW, tropical steroid withdrawal. I've kind of been forced to do that, so it's kind of just started to sort of come back. Hopefully it will go soon because I hate it, but yeah, let's get started on the day. Let me just move you guys up a bit. Okay, so first things first, we need to do the outline of everything. I've got my white paint here, and I've also got my reference picture. So this is who we're doing. We've got, it's a very dirty laptop, but this is my painting laptop, so it's allowed to get some paint on. So yeah, we're just gonna go follow the outline of everything. Oh, I don't have a mirror up there, so I can't actually see. So I'm just going to sketch it out, and at this point it doesn't need to be perfect because we're going to go in with the paints and we're going to sort it out a little bit later. And I really can't see what I'm doing because I'm looking at the camera. So I would recommend having a mirror to do this. But we just want to get the general shape of it so we know where we're placing the colours later, and we'll always start with a base colour and then we'll start to build up the definition. We'll start to build up the shadows, the highlights and any sort of details. We'll do that later. So let me just finish this off camera so I've got the mirror, and I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Okay, so here we have it, the outline. So you see it's just a rough sketch. We're going to go over details later, but what we're going to do now is we're just going to cover it in a base colour. So we're just going to block it out, so I know that this bit is going to be brown, this is all going to be brown, that's going to be brown as well, and again on that side, boom, boom. And then this is all brown. This bit's going to be red and a bit of yellow. And then we've got the arm, which is kind of like a weird grey blue. I'm going to start with the grey, and then we're going to add some blue tones to it. So we're going to mix as we go and see if we can match the colour. So as you can see, the white lines aren't as important as you may have thought they were, because you end up painting them over anyway. And actually you can kind of see a faint line under the paint to give you an idea of where you want to put that mark, but actually you just tend to just paint over them anyway. So now we're just going in with a bit of red, and then we need to do some red up here, and then the blue. We're going to leave the face for the moment. Okay, so now to get this sort of grey blue colour, what we're going to do is we're going to try and mix it live. So you want to do this when it's still wet. So you want to add a bit of blue and then just keep kind of merging the two together and just keep seeing if that looks about right. I mean, it's a little bit blue. I probably want to go a little bit darker. So what I'll need to do is I'll need to add a bit of black. Okay, so once you're a little bit happy with that colour, what I've done is rather than mixing three colours, so the blue, the grey and black to get a darker blue, what I've done is I've gone in with some charred ash powder, and I just find it a little bit easier because it's quite difficult to mix three colours whilst they're wet, and you get a little bit more control over what the colour ends up turning out like. So what I've done is, I've taken that ash powder and just sort of added it to get it a little bit darker. You can see like the contrast between the two, and now that's the colour which I want to then start adding the detail to. So then I can start adding the creases of the shirt, I can add the shadows and some more highlights with that white clown light paint, and then we should start to get the effect of a sort of a crinkled t-shirt. Okay, so it's around about lunchtime now. I like to have everything covered at least by lunchtime, by midday. So I guess we're on schedule, probably a little bit behind because there's quite a lot of details which needs to still happen. We'll probably finish around about 5-6 o'clock this evening. Okay, so I'm back, and now what we're moving on to is we're going to move on to the face. I've already glued my brows down, as you can see. Ron doesn't have a lot of eyebrows, so I've got a lot. So I'm going to glue them down, and then we'll paint a few on. And now all I'm doing now is I'm just going to take a bit of foundation to even out my skin, because you can see I've got quite a lot of breakouts of psoriasis at the top. Actually, I don't need to go that far up at the top because he's going to be wearing like a hat. But let's just cover the whole face in foundation. And we're probably going to need to take the skin a little bit lighter. So we'll do that with some concealer in a bit. But I always like to start with like a full base of like one colour. So you're working with an even what's it called? An even canvas. And you can see when you paint over the eyebrow, it's as if it's just not even there, it just looks like skin. Okay, so we can ignore this. I just had to sort of paint that a little bit for a transition of a video. So I need to try and find a way to like pin my ears back because I'm not happy with how that looks. I don't really know how I'm going to do that. Clips or like some masking tape or something, not sure. Anyway, what we're going to do now is we're just going to go over everything with like a black line just to sort of mark everything out again, and then that just gives us the right areas to know where to highlight and to know where to put a shadow. So now we've outlined everything in black, we just need to work out where we're going to highlight and where we're going to shadow. And essentially you've got to think whatever's on top needs a shadow underneath and a highlight on top of it. So this is actually a really good example, this shoulder pad. So there's three parts to the shoulder pad. This one is obviously on top, and then we've got a layer, a second layer here, and a third layer here. So where we're going to want to shadow is where those two meet. So where that one on top, if you think about having something underneath, there's going to be a shadow from the one on top, isn't there? So you want to shadow there, and you're also going to want to do the same there. So have a shadow there. So I can't really see what I'm doing in this camera, but you essentially get the gist. So then it actually looks a little bit more 3D now, so that would look like it's on top. And then to make it look even more 3D, you're going to want to add a highlight just above where that shadow is. So a highlight from there upwards, and then a shadow from there downwards. Does that make sense? Okay, let me do that detail, and then let me come back and show you what that looks like. Okay, so I've started to work on it. There's a lot more I need to do in terms of details here, but you can kind of see the comparison between the two shoulders. So we've got the shadow there, we've got a bit of highlight there. You can see actually this looks like it's on top. It's just created that 3D effect between that being on top of that one and that being on top of that. And then this being on top of the t-shirt here. And you can see the difference between this just looking flat versus there's actually a 3D effect there. So that's the basics of how you do shadows and highlights. And you just need to apply those basics to everything else, and then it would just massively elevate what your body paint looks like. So a big mistake, that I used to make, is that I used to just paint the colours on and be like, yeah, cool, that's what it looks like, that's fine. But actually there's so much more to it. Like the base colours is literally the very first step. But the only way that you can make it look 3D and more realistic is through highlighting and shadowing. Okay, so I thought I'd just come back just to show that I've done the majority of the shadows now. It looks a little bit more 3D than it did before. All we need to do now is we need to add those highlights, and then once the highlights are in place, you sort of go and do the finesses of the last bits of the shadows, making sure that they really pop, and then a few sort of little finer details. But We've still probably got another couple of hours left, but I'm liking the way that it's turning out. Obviously still ignore the face, we're going to do that bit last, so we need to pin my ears back, but yeah, let me do that and then let me come back and show you what it looks like with the highlights in place. Okay, so we're finished. We've gone in with all the highlights, we've gone back to do the face, we found some tape. You can see we found some duct tape to pin our ears back, so it looks like I'm actually wearing one of those hats. And we're done. It's 6 PM, 20 past 6 actually, so it was a one which took, okay, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 7 hours. Yeah, 7 hours to do this one, and yeah, I mean, I'm happy with like here down. I just don't really think the face looks very good. In like some angles, some lights, it looks like Ron Weasley, but I think it's really difficult. So, you know, I feel like I've kind of lost my mojo as well. Like none of the paints which I'm doing at the moment are turning out how I want them to, and it's really frustrating. But it is what it is, and hopefully we'll get through it. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, comment, let me know what you want me to do next. What I'm thinking of doing next is doing like a time lapse of the whole thing, and then playing that time lapse over like a space of 10 minutes and me doing like a voiceover. I think that would be quite a nice idea. See if you guys like that one. So but no, if you have any other suggestions of types of videos you want to see me do, or different types of paint, do let me know in the comments, and I will be back shortly. Bye. See you next time. Flipendo. Cheers, bye. Flipendo. I will be back shortly. Flipendo. And I will be back shortly.